The heart is the organ of feeling, after all. The attempt to think about divine light tends to get in the way of feeling it. It keeps us tied in the mental plane and prevents us from going deeper. So we have to take this thought in a very subtle manner. At most, we gently remind ourselves that divine light is present in the heart and that is attracting us inward towards the source. We do this once in the beginning, and in fact, even that much is unnecessary. It's such a natural process, everything happens by itself, you see. Why not simply meditate on the source? I asked. Why even bring divine light into this? How would you conceive the source? Daji replied. I had no answer. The source is infinite, he said. It defies thought. It even defies unconscious thought. No matter how you conceive of it, it won't be the real thing. Okay. So mark this. How do you conceive the source? And the answer is the source is infinite. Okay, that paragraph. Divine light, on the other hand, is graspable. It may be subtle, but at least we can experience it. We can feel it in our heart. The subtle feeling pulls us inward, further inward. It takes us beyond light, actually, and delivers us to at the source itself. So even this paragraph, please mark it. So the reason we meditate on divine light is that we cannot meditate directly upon the source, I said. Exactly, said Daji. But the light comes from the source and it draws us towards the source as well. In this process of approaching the source, we go deeper and deeper into meditation. We achieve greater and greater depths of samadhi. So these three lines. In this process of approaching the source, we go deeper and deeper into meditation. We achieve greater and greater depths of samadhi. But let's back up for a second, I said. It isn't always the case that we close our eyes and immediately plunge into samadhi. Often there is a lapse of time in between. That is when people experience the most difficulty because they have to contend with so many distracting thoughts, so many questions. Question is so my question is, how should we handle our thoughts? Yes, thoughts are the number one complaint, he chuckled. But to come to the explanation that I must have a thoughtless state is a wrong approach. Mark this. How should we handle our thoughts? I must have a thoughtless state. It's a wrong approach from there. Okay. We get carried away by these popular notions. Just as the ears are for hearing and the eyes are for seeing, the natural function of mind is to think. When you are absorbed in a film that you are watching, you are not disturbed by your thoughts. But that doesn't mean that you don't have thoughts. You are just inattentive to them, I said. Right, said Daji. Because you are more attentive to the activity that you are witnessing on the screen, the same thing happens in meditation. When we are more attentive to the heart than to our thoughts, they no longer bother us. So mark this. This becomes easier when you start to feel the presence of the light within. You may not be aware that what are you feeling is the divine light. You may hardly even notice when it comes in the same way that you don't notice the moment that you fall asleep. It just happens. Then you are no longer affected by thoughts. Thoughts and emotions are like waves on the surface of the ocean. They may disturb the sailor who stays upon the surface, but not the whale which swims in the depths. In deep meditation, we sink into the depths. Even when a gale blows, it remains above the surface and we remain unaffected. Mark this entire paragraph, please. But What do we do before we sink into deep meditation? I asked again. How do we handle our thoughts then? Accept them, he said. Love them even. Thoughts are not your enemies. If you fight with the thoughts, you will surely lose. The more you fight with your thoughts, the stronger they become. In fact, we can bring a Newton's third law here. In the physical dimension, every action produces an equal and opposite reaction. On the mental plane, the rules apply in an unpredictable way. There is still an opposite reaction, but it isn't equal. It is disproportionate. It is like throwing a stone into the ocean and getting a tsunami in return. So don't fight with your thoughts, just let them be. Of course, that doesn't mean that you should indulge them either. Often we get pumped up by certain thoughts that impress us. We also get worried by our negative thoughts. Thinking is okay, but indulgence is never good. Really, thought should be like the wallpaper in the room. You may appreciate the beautiful print or you may dislike it, but either way, it doesn't obsess you. It doesn't prevent you from carrying on with your activities. In the same way, your thoughts need not hinder your meditation. But sometimes thoughts seem to ambush us, I said. Then it's a difficulty to stay poised. It is difficult to stay poised. Babuji pointed out that when you pour wine from a bottle, it leaves from the same opening from which it entered, said Daji. The thoughts we have in meditation are like wine flowing out of this bottle. They have been inside us all along, even if we weren't aware of their presence. We only become aware of them when we are meditating and they start coming out. Thoughts come only to leave, you see. So let them come. This paragraph, please mark it. Sometimes we experience really intense thoughts and emotions during meditation. They can be unsettling. The reason is that we tend to repress such thoughts and feelings in the normal course of lives. You have thoughts that you think are bad, and you say no, 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 and push them down in the recesses of your subconscious. That doesn't get rid of them, though. They remain inside you, shading your experience and shaping your behavior in subtle ways. In meditation, such thoughts surface. They are like the air bubbles that rush upward in a pot of boiling water. Know that they are in the process of leaving you and pay them no mind. I am always happy when someone complains of a turbulent meditation because it shows that they have released something that they were harboring inside. So I think we should refrain from judging our meditative experiences. What is far more significant is the way that you feel after meditation is complete, not during. It's meditation's long-term effects that we are really after. But how to handle a difficult experience in meditation? I asked. Like when your thoughts just run away with you. Just remind yourself that you are meditating, said Daji. That should be enough. If that doesn't help, then open your eyes for 30 seconds or so. That will clear the condition. Then you can continue your meditation. A time also comes when we do enter into a thoughtless state. This happens when we go further in the subtler realms of consciousness. Okay, mark this, please. The great Swami Vivekananda once said, consciousness is a mere film between two oceans, the subconscious and the superconscious. Let's look at the two words, sub and super. By pairing the prefix sub with the word conscious, we see that the subconscious is beneath our conscious awareness. Conversely, the superconscious is above our conscious awareness. So the sub and super consciousness are both beyond our conscious awareness, yet one is lower conscious and lower unconsciousness, while the other is higher. Mark this entire para. Swami Vivekananda from there. The subconsciousness is vast, as is super consciousness. In fact, both are infinite. With yogic practice, our conscious awareness expands through both of them. When we sleep at night, we dive deep into the oceans of the subconsciousness. Actually, this occurs through a special state of yogic sleep called Yoga Nidra. We'll discuss this later when we take up the subject of prayer. It is also necessary to purify the subconsciousness. It is filled with the remnants of past experiences. It is also the home of our lower instincts and drives. We'll also go into this subject more deeply when we discuss the cleaning method. Now let's discuss the superconscious. It is superconscious. It's the godly realm, and in meditation we soar into the endless skies. It is from there that wisdom descends. It is from there that inspiration strikes your heart. In the superconscious, we are suffused with energy from the source. So mark this paragraph also, superconsciousness. In meditation, our awareness expands through superconsciousness. At first, we may not have any experience of this at all. It is as if we are in the state of deep sleep. That is the first stage of samadhi. But slowly, we become familiar with the superconscious. We become aware in that state, and gradually we gain command over. Then, is it still superconsciousness? What do you mean? I asked. When you are conscious of it, it's no longer above your conscious awareness. It has become your normal state of consciousness. The superconscious is something that is always beyond. It is what you cannot access. What may be a normal state of conscious awareness for you may be a state of super consciousness for someone else. Mark this paragraph, please. The super consciousness is something that is always beyond that. Those lines are important. Those 4 lines. It is what you cannot access. What may be a normal state of conscious awareness for you may be a state of super consciousness for someone else. So it's a relative term, I said. Yes, he replied. We can also accelerate this process of moving into the superconscious state by using the 2 supplemental practices called point A meditation and point B cleaning. But these practices are best explained in person by a heartfulness trainer after we have become established in the essential heartfulness practices. So this is also important for evolution. Point A meditation and point B cleaning. So it helps us in moving into the superconscious state. So please mark that. In our journey, we also move beyond superconsciousness. In fact, we move beyond consciousness altogether. Consciousness is infinite, whether we are speaking of a subconscious or the superconscious. But the infinity is supported by another infinity, which we call potentiality. Mark this also, please. This paragraph, entire paragraph. Daji stood up and disappeared into his bedroom. A minute later, he returned with his book in hand, Efficacy of Raj Yoga, written by Babuji in 1944. Daji started to read. So entire para, this Babuji's from Babuji's literature, you have to mark. Consciousness is not our goal. It is only a toy for children to play with. We have to reach a point where consciousness assumes its true form, that is, what it really ought to be. We have to make a search for the mother tincture from which medicines are actually prepared. We are searching for the potentiality which creates consciousness. And if that too is gone, then we find ourselves on the verge of true reality, pure and simple. This philosophy is too high to be described adequately in words. Mark this, please. So, our goal is not consciousness or super consciousness. We have to transcend all this and move beyond.
Brother, what is Chandra 2009?
This must be that book of complete works of Ramchandra, 2009 edition. It
Okay,
is
okay,
there in
thanks.
complete works. I have read it. This is a quotation from there, no? That is why. Daji closed the book, and reality is another, infinity that supports potentiality, he said. Okay, mark these lines, please. And reality is another infinity that supports potentiality. He said, you see, our development covers a spectrum that moves towards infinite subtlety. We begin with consciousness, move towards its potentiality, and eventually emerge into reality. And we must go beyond that too. So, entire paragraph again. I am sorry, I am marking paragraph and lines for some reason. You don't know from where, what will pop into your exams. Number two, the thing is, spirituality is so deep that we have to understand it with heart. So please pour yourself in. Okay. Okay. How long to meditate? Before I began Heartfulness, I used to meditate for precisely 20 minutes at a time. I would set an alarm and sit with closed eyes until it rang. Perhaps I learned this from a meditation class that I had taken, where the instructor would ring a bell when meditation was over. When I started practicing Heartfulness, I continued my habit of setting an alarm for 20 minutes. However, that ring soon started to disturb me because it would come while I was still immersed in meditation. So I started setting the timer for 1 hour instead. But then I found that I would naturally come out of the meditation exactly 5 minutes before the bell would ring. Soon it occurred to me that the timer was only interfering in the process and I never used it again. I told Daji about these early experiences, and he said, yes, it is too artificial to set any time limit in advance. In fact, we should never set any agenda in meditation. We shouldn't impose any conditions at all. We have to be open in a state of wonder and unknowingness. Sometimes we might think, I have to go to work soon, so I'll meditate. I'll just meditate for 15 minutes. The giver knows your time constraints as well. Perhaps he would have finished your meditation in 30 seconds, but you are insisting on 15 minutes. But in that case, I am being more generous than the giver, I said. He needs 30 seconds, but I am allowing him 15 minutes. Maybe, said Raji. But what do you think will happen in those 15 minutes? Instead of meditating on the endless, you will meditate on time, on limitation. You will be constantly aware that you have to stand up in a few minutes. You are focusing on the quantity of meditation, not the quality. If there is no quality, is there any use of quantity? So, how important is the quality of meditation? It describes here. We always rush into meditation, and we always, most of us feel that when it will end. Hmm? Hmm. Okay, something to learn. Sometimes when I meditate, I find that it's over very quickly, I say. At other times, I find that an entire hour has gone by. What makes meditation complete? It is complete when you have hit a satisfactory depth of consciousness, said Daji. Babuji recommended 1 hour. When people complained, he reduced it to half an hour. But he said that an hour was best. He had observed that people often take that long to reach the satisfactory depth of meditation. So, answer to this question, what makes meditation complete, is here. So, please mark that. This entire para. But don't run with this idea and say, okay, now I am going to meditate for an hour. In that case, you will still be meditating on the idea of time and not on divine light. So forget time, just meditate. I have been told that Babuji never meditated for more than a minute or two at a time. I said, he could instantly plunge into his inner depths, said Dadi. If that's all the time you require, it is sufficient. And if it takes you an hour, that is also good. When if you don't achieve any depth at all, I said, even in an hour, save it for the next time, said Daji. So it didn't happen today. Fine, try again tomorrow. Or if you are really avid and you have some extra time, meditate a second time. But give yourself a little break. Take 15 minutes at least. Without this 15 minutes break, meditation will create a slight negative effect. What determines how quickly can we can dive deep into ourselves, I asked. It depends on the orientation of your awareness and the flexibility of your consciousness, he said. Imagine that consciousness is a big circle. Its center is the core of your being, the ultimate source. The circumference represents our surface level awareness. In our normal state of consciousness, in which we interact with the world via the senses, usually our attention is unidirectional. It moves in one direction at a time. In meditation, it moves inward to the core. In our daily activities, it tends to move outward and away from the center. It flows through the senses in the direction of the circumference. If your consciousness is nimble and flexible, it can easily switch directions. But if your consciousness is cumbersome, it's like a big cargo ship that requires 4 tugboats just to turn around. Mark this, please. If your consciousness is nimble and flexible, it can easily switch directions. When we are accustomed to an external orientation, we find to tend it difficult to turn our awareness inside. Then meditation takes a longer time, a little longer. But with daily practice and with the help of transmission, we develop a nimble consciousness, a flexible consciousness. Now we can move in either direction at will. So these last 3 lines also. But with practice and with help of transmission, we develop a nimble consciousness, a flexible consciousness. Now we can move in either direction. However, as we develop even further, consciousness stops jumping back and forth, turning inward and outward. It stops being unidirectional. Rather, it expands in both directions at once. You are aware of what is happening around you externally. At the same time, you are moving towards the source within. Furthermore, you are aware of what is happening in between the two. You have neither an inner nor an outer orientation. Your consciousness is expansive. Your attention is inclusive. Again, this paragraph. When this is the case, meditation.
This is Sahaj Samadhi state, no?
Kind of. Sahaj Samadhi is also when you get so absorbed in the act of meditation that you are in a state where you are not aware, but you are aware of the outside what is happening also. Like some sounds are coming, some disturbance is there, but you are not disturbed. You are in the state of total absorption. So this is also a kind of that.
Okay.
So that is why this consciousness is both directions as you progress. Okay. When this is the case, meditation no longer involves any movement. You are simultaneously immersed in the center, the source, and aware of the external. That means that you don't have to turn your consciousness inward in order to meditate. In fact, meditation now becomes redundant. You are in a permanent state of meditation, you see. Why would you need to sit and meditate when you are already in meditation? You may have noticed that in Eastern iconographies, spiritual figures are often portrayed in a meditative pose. We see this especially in the depictions of Lord Buddha. He is always seated, always serene. In reality, though, illumined individuals do not sit in a continuous meditation. They are active and engaged with life. One could be a busy emergency room doctor, for instance, busily attending to patient after patient. Despite her stressful situation, she is calm, she is peaceful. Her permanent contact with the source provides her with an inner silence that pervades the surrounding noise. Despite her stressful circumstances, she is in meditation, you see. She may not be seated like a Buddha figurine, but her consciousness is Buddha-like. She has attained permanence in meditation. This is called the meditative state. It should not be necessary to continue this daily exercise of meditation for your entire life. Each case is different, of course, but I think that if we still require the daily ritual after 20 or 30 years, something must be wrong in our approach. Of course, it's a symbol, said Daji. Okay, sorry. So why are evolved individuals always portrayed in that meditative pose? I asked. Is it just a symbol? Of course, it's a symbol, said Daji. Nevertheless, we also observe that even those who no longer require meditation still tend to maintain their meditation practice. Every morning, they still sit for meditation. Now, why would they do this? Is it because they enjoy it? Is it a habit, a formality? A formality? Daji paused. You can think over it. The meditative state. Your meditation should never end, said Daji. His words punctuated a long silence. Of course, this does not mean that you never get up again, he continued. You cannot remain seated in meditation all day, but you can remain in a meditative state throughout all your activities. Your life becomes a meditation, you see, a dynamic and ongoing one. It is meditation with open eyes. You are not seated in meditation, yet you are meditating. So, the meditative state, the first paragraph, please mark it. There may be a question, would meditation ever end? So that is the answer is here. In India, we have the concept called Brahman. Traditionally, Brahman is akin to God. It is thought to be the ultimate reality, the supreme being, or whatever you may like to call it. Yet, if we examine the etymological roots of the word, we uncover a different story. Brahman is derived from two Sanskrit roots, bruha and man. Bruha means expansion and man means thinking or contemplation. So Brahman literally means that which expands and contemplates. So mark this, Brahman, bruha and thinking or contemplation. Let's step back for a moment. But you remember how I described consciousness as a big circle? Yes, I said. The center of the circle represents the deepest core of our being, and the circumference stands for our external awareness, said Dadi. A time comes when consciousness expands in both directions simultaneously towards the center and the circumstance. This is Brahman in true sense. So mark this. A time comes when consciousness expands in both directions simultaneously towards the center and the circumference. That is Brahman in true sense. It is expansion, but it is also thinking because the mind which thinks exists with consciousness. So most people think Brahman to be something other than what it really is, I said. Yes, said Dadi. We have applied our human understanding to something that is beyond understanding, you see. You see, one of the reasons that Socrates was executed was that he proclaimed the gods to be human creations. He observed that the gods, as they were presented, had human characteristics. Therefore, he concluded that they were human projections. While that was going on in Greece, the same thing happened in India. It still is, in fact, and not just in India. It's a peculiar facet of human nature that we assign human qualities to everything, including God. You see, the Sanskrit word for individual being is Atman. Atman literally means that which moves and thinks. So you can see the definition of an individual is very close to the ancient definitions of God. The only distinction is that one expands while the other merely moves. Why are they so similar? The reason is that people thought God must be like us, but greater. If the individual being is something that moves, then God, being greater, must expand. For expansion is greater than mere movement. Mark this also. Atman literally means that which moves and thinks. Okay, and the only distinction is that one expands while the other merely moves. And then in the next para, if the individual being is something that moves, then God, being greater, must expand, for expansion is greater than movement. So they took the ultimate and named it Brahman, according to their human understanding. In reality, Brahman is not the ultimate. It is a state in which consciousness contemplates and expands. The ultimate is far beyond this. The ultimate is changeless, so it cannot expand, contact, or contemplate. Mark this. The ultimate is changeless. So in the meditative state, our consciousness exhibits the qualities of Brahman, I said, but that is not the ultimate states. Correct, said Daji. We have to go beyond Brahman. And there is a term for that too, Para Brahman, which means beyond Brahman. And the state of Para Brahman is also just another stage in our journey. It is not the end. The meditative state keeps evolving. You see, it grows finer and subtler until it dissolves into the ultimate state. But it cannot evolve unless we create it in the first place. So this definition of Para Brahman, that is beyond Brahman, there may be a question on this too. Please mark it. Raji paused in reflection. I don't think anybody will truly will be truly satisfied with meditation unless the effect becomes permanent, he said. Of what use is profound meditation if it doesn't transform your daily experience? Otherwise, meditation is like drawing water from a well using a leaky bucket. You are unable to retain it and carry it into your life. However, do we make the effect of meditation carry over? I asked. The first step is to meditate, he said. Meditation is the mother of the meditative state. Without a mother, there is no baby, and without the act of meditation, there is no meditative state. We achieve permanency in meditation through repeated meditations. With daily meditations, you steadily build that meditative condition. Brick by brick, meditation by meditation, you build it. If you don't meditate frequently, the condition starts to wane. This paragraph also says, meditation is the mother of the meditative state. From there. And then you have to create it all over again, I said. Yes, said Dadi. It's like a plant that requires daily water and sunshine. If you neglect it, you will have to keep resuscitating it. How will it flourish? But it is not enough to meditate. You must also bring that meditative consciousness into your wakeful awareness. This depends on the way in which we conduct ourselves in the minutes that immediately follow meditation. A fresh meditative state is like wet cement. It needs some time to settle before you carry it into your day. If you just jump out of your chair, the very meditation ends, the meditative state of consciousness becomes fractured. This is akin to throwing it away. It's like working hard for a paycheck and then tossing it in the garbage. If you are going to do that, then why meditate at all? So, how to bring meditative consciousness into wakeful awareness? Here is the answer. Okay. Please mark that. So, what do you recommend? I asked. After meditation, open your eyes very gently, he said. Then remain in meditation for a few minutes more, but with half open eyes. This is very important. So, how to maintain a meditative state? This is the answer. So these 3 lines. In those few minutes, you are not thinking about what you have to do today. You do not check the messages on your phone. You are still meditating, but with slightly open eyes. Stay like this for a few minutes until you feel totally present in your surroundings. Even then, move slowly at first. Remain still. Remain meditative. Anything jarring should be completely avoided. You have to be like a deep sea diver, slowly ascending from the watery depths. Nothing can be rushed. We should even refrain from drinking water immediately after meditation. Why, I ask? Whatever a person is upset, whenever a person is upset, a drink of water helps to calm them down, said Hari. This shows us that water can change our inner condition. Now that may be good when someone is upset, but after meditation, we want to preserve the condition that we have. We don't want to change it. So we avoid drinking water for a few minutes. Along these same lines, if we have meditated with a fan blowing on us, we should keep that fan on for some time. We shouldn't immediately switch it off. And if it was off during meditation, it should stay off until that meditative condition is secure. We should do nothing that could possibly disturb us. Those first few minutes are critical. They determine the quality of our entire day, your entire day. What happens in these few minutes that makes them so important, I ask? Your meditative consciousness merges into your normal waking state, said Dadi. By spending just a few minutes meditating with open eyes, your consciousness remains meditative as you adjust to the waking state. After a short while, the two states coexist. You are inwardly absorbed and you are perfectly alert to your surroundings. This is one aspect in converting the act of meditation into a state of meditativeness. When we meditate, we acquire new inner conditions. Acquiring a condition is like signing a lease on a house. You may live there, but that doesn't mean you own it. If you don't own it, can you stay there permanently? You see, we have to find a way to make this condition ours. Otherwise, it's like trying to grasp a fistful of water. It just trickles through your fingers and disappears. What is the best way to achieve ownership of a condition? I asked. The first step is to be aware of our condition. We have to be aware that we have received something. The best time to develop this awareness is immediately after meditation. After meditation is over, simply observe yourself. Observe yourself minutely. How do you feel? Our condition can manifest in various ways. A journal can be extremely useful tool because if you have to write about your condition, you will naturally be attentive to it. When you are attentive, your awareness becomes more finely tuned and your sensitivity increases. Initially, many people say that they don't know what to write. At first, you may only write one sentence or even one word. But after a few weeks, you may write paragraphs. Soon you will fill pages with detailed descriptions. The more of, mark this paragraph, please. Achieving ownership of condition. The more awareness we have of our condition, the more we will be able to experience its depth and intensity. A new condition is like a seed. It starts in a very small way and gradually unfolds. It expands from within and becomes enlivened. Our entire being now seems to vibrate along with it. When the condition is sufficiently enlivened, it peaks, then takes a new turn. We now start to absorb it. You see, we imbibe it. It starts to become a part of us. As it becomes part of us, our thoughts, feelings, and actions start to reflect its particular characteristics. One interesting facet of this process is that more we imbibe the condition, the less intense it becomes. Its feeling starts to wane, you see. Eventually, you stop feeling it altogether. Then we might think that we have lost it. But if you examine yourself carefully, you will find that it's not gone. Instead of feeling it, you are becoming it. So this is on, how to imbibe in the condition. So please mark this. AEIOU. Yes, brother, someone has raised the hand. I think by mistake.
My question is, whether
Yes.
my question is, can you please explain the consciousness, super consciousness, and subconsciousness? At what level we feel in a practical way while doing meditation? So
Okay.
how we can experience these three states?
Yeah, so I will explain you. Just let us complete these 2 pages.
Okay, brother. At your convenient time, please.
Yes. For example, look what happens when you eat a meal. Initially, you feel the presence of that food in your stomach. However, when the food is digested, you no longer feel it in your system. It is becoming a part of you. Similarly, the experience of any condition only proves that it has not yet become a part of you. It's still foreign. It's still a novelty. When it truly becomes a part of you, you are unable to experience it at all. As Babuji used to say, the eye cannot see itself. So any condition you experience during meditation, it should become a part of you. Okay, there is no consciousness then about that condition. It is itself, I said. Exactly, said Daji. In that situation, the condition is truly secure. It has become yours. You stay in this state of non-feeling, not feeling very much until your heart starts craving something new. The craving is what triggers the next condition. Yes, said Daji. The entire process of enlivening, imbibing, and securing the condition must become second nature. Please mark this. After all, these are so many conditions to, there are so many conditions to traverse on this journey. As we move along, we also find that each condition is finer and subtler than the last. Unless our perception becomes continuously finer, these superfine conditions will elude us altogether. Then we won't be able to enliven them. What to say of imbibing or securing them by becoming one with them? How can we make our perception more subtle? I asked. It's like you're learning a new language, said Raji. Gradually, we pick it up, but only if we observe ourselves and pay keen attention to each condition as it comes. As I already described, how we do that. But we have to start this habit at the earliest because at higher stages, the conditions are so subtle that they become almost impossible to perceive. If we cannot perceive them, they get stunted and we cannot move forward. If, however, your inner senses have been progressively tuned over the course of your journey, you will be able to work with those superfine conditions. You will pass through them to still finer states, eventually arriving at the subtlest condition of all, the conditionless condition. Okay, so this para, but we have to start this habit at the earliest. From there till the end, please mark it. Often we get distracted in the hustle and bustle of life, I said. At those times, it can seem as if we lose the condition that we received in meditation. Can we get it back without meditating a second time? Okay, there can be a question on this. Please mark it. Can we get the condition back without meditating a second time? You don't need to meditate a second time, said Daji. Just stop for a moment, close your eyes, and reconnect yourself to the heart. That automatically recalls your condition. Mark this 3-4 lines, please. By remembering it, we recreate it up to there. In the morning, it might have taken an entire hour to enter a state of deep meditation. But now you can find yourself on the verge of samadhi in only a few seconds. How is it that a condition that took an hour to develop can be recreated in just few moments, I asked. With your morning meditation, you have already forged the pathway, said Daji. Now that the path is established, you need only to follow it. You just refer to your heart and it comes. And the more you meditate, the easier it becomes. So with this, we will end. So meditation, the steps are given. I'll just read it out so that it is there fresh in the mind. Okay. Sit comfortably in a place where you can meditate without noise or distractions, preferably at the same time and place every day. Gently close your eyes, center your awareness in your heart, supposing that divine light is present there and that it is attracting you from within. Relax into that awareness. You may even relax into a deeper state beyond awareness. Remain in meditation until you feel that it is complete. After meditation, slowly open your eyes. Remain in meditation for a few minutes before more, but with slightly open eyes. But be still and observe how you feel. Note these observations in your journal. When you feel ready, you can stand up and go about your day. Okay. So we stop at page 110. We'll start with cleaning tomorrow. Okay.
Brother, also about what is soul and consciousness. How do you differentiate the soul and consciousness?
Okay. I will try my best. Okay. So first, let us come to the question of Brother Venkata Subramaniam. Venkata Subbayya.
Venkat Subbaya, brother.
Yes. So, brother, you asked about consciousness, right?
Yes, yes. I want to know the practical way of learning regarding consciousness, subconscious, and superconscious. Brother. So we keep on discussing on these three important points. But while we are in meditation or deep meditation or anything, how do we experience that particular state of mind or particular state of meditation is super conscious or subconscious? So we are aware of conscious, but these two things I want to know in detail, brother.
So, what is consciousness? It is actually awareness. When you are aware about anything,
Yes,
it is consciousness.
yes,
You are
yes.
conscious
That is
about
clear.
that,
That is
right?
that is clear.
So,
Yes,
your thoughts, your actions, what your daily activities are.
yes, yes,
Now, what is subconsciousness?
yes,
Subconsciousness is just below the consciousness. That is why it is called subconscious,
yes,
right?
yes,
Next level,
yes,
let's say.
yes, yes,
Now, whatever thoughts you have, whatever
yes,
actions you have, okay,
yes, yes,
gets into is in subconscious mind.
okay,
You think, you act, there is a samskara. It may be good
Hmm.
or bad, it may be divine, whatever. It is there. Everything is there in the subconscious.
So it gets recorded there.
Yeah,
Brother, we can
yeah,
take it as
yeah.
yes.
It is there. When the trigger happens somewhere, it will pop up.
Okay, okay,
Okay, because in the conscious awareness, you have
Hmm.
applied your will, you have
Yes,
applied your emotions,
yes,
right? All
yes,
those are in the subconscious mind.
okay,
Okay. Now go to the higher level, super
yes,
consciousness.
yes,
Now coming back to subconsciousness,
okay,
it is very vast.
yes,
Its vastness cannot be imagined.
yes,
It can be an immediate past. It can be a past of, a few years, or it can be a past of the childhood, or it can be the prior lives also.
yes, yes,
Okay, it is very vast.
yes, yes,
So that is the subconscious, this thing. Okay, so we cannot actually know what is there within.
yes,
That is why the refinement of conscious refinement in the awareness state is required.
yes, brother.
Now coming to the third one, super conscious, we cannot know actually.
Yes,
The super consciousness we cannot know, but because it is higher. When you are so refined that in the subconsciousness, in the subconscious mind, there is nothing. And you are moving then to the superconscious level. That is complete refinement. That is actually what happens in meditation when you are totally absorbed and you lose yourself.
Yes.
There may be times when you are losing your own lower self altogether.
Yes, brother.
Okay.
So can we take it, whether in samadhi state, for example, in meditation?
You can see, one should not imagine things.
Yeah.
Okay. But it is an indication you can take.
Uh-huh.
When your awareness reaches a level of total ignorance,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
and that at that stage of ignorance, you cannot have consciousness at all.
Yes.
How can you be conscious when you have reached a stage where there is total ignorance? It is not
Yes.
possible, right?
Yes, brother.
So
So can we
subconscious,
take it as a super conscious?
correct. You can just an inclination, but please do not imagine things. Because super conscious, like subconscious, is a very vast, extremely vast field, which we don't know.
So, or experiencing super consciousness.
See, if you are at super conscious state, experiences are also not relevant.
Yes.
If you think about experience, it is again consciousness. So we should leave it at that.
Because in the reading, we have been thinking and discussing about the expansion of our consciousness towards super consciousness and subconsciousness. Brother.
Yes, it is both directions. That
Sorry,
is the
brother.
beauty of Sahaj Marg, actually, that it evolves both the ways. You are simultaneously conscious about it at an outer level, but you are going inward also towards the source.
Yes, brother.
Now the source is infinite.
Yes.
Okay. So when it is infinite and you reach at a particular level, then there is no consciousness which is left. Then the question of this super consciousness also does not arise at all. Okay. This is what I understand. If there is something else, we can, connect later.
Okay, okay, brother. Thank you, brother. Thank you very much.
Hope I am making some sense here. Okay.
May I contribute here, brother?
Yeah, you can contribute anything.
Only for this particular question.
Yes.
Subconsciousness and superconsciousness. Relevant to Abhyasi's personal life. Subconsciousness is defined by all the memories that are stored ever since the Mahapralaya, last Mahapralaya, where the identity, when it is just before submerging itself in the Mahapralaya, becomes very strong because it is a nutshell of everything that is it has experienced. Now when it descends, it takes the karmic imprints and moves on into life after life. As far as this particular life is concerned, research has been revealing that subconscious is a storehouse of memories, as brother said, of not only of this lifetime, but of many previous lifetimes as well. So how we experience subconscious emanations is by negative thoughts or positive thoughts, which are automatized in our software, in our being. In contrast, the super consciousness, as we just now said it in two words, godly realm. How different researchers in different fields have been revealing is that super consciousness is defined by the way we experience emanations of superhuman beings who are possibly saints, or in our case, our masters, who are actually living in higher dimensions. So, in a nutshell, we experience super consciousness when the messages flow to us. But as brother cautioned, we should be very cautious about presuming and assuming about what is flowing to us and from where it is flowing. But it is a very good grounding in Sahaj Marg that when you ask the heart will tell you. But it is not the fleshy heart that is telling us. There is a connection of the divine masters and the hierarchy of masters who are connected to the living master. The chain from all dimensions are established. So when you ask a question, the answers flow. But more research on individual level. That's about it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sister.
Just 1 minute, brother. I just
Thank you, sister.
Brother, I want you to bring your attention back to page number 97.
Page
If
number
you go back
90.
to the page number 97, so Daji says, let's discuss about superconsciousness. It is the godly realm, and in meditation, we soar into the endless skies. It is from here that the wisdom descends. So he gives you 3 clues here that during the meditation session, you are kind of touching the superconsciousness. So there are 3 clues that he has given here. That the wisdom descends from here. It is from there that the inspiration strikes your heart. And in the superconsciousness, we are suffused with energy from the source. So how it is experienced during meditation is by these 3 things, which is the energy, the inspiration, and the wisdom which is descending. Because if you actually look through efficacy of Raja Yoga, the lowest level of superconsciousness is present in point 1 only. We don't need to go to the higher realms to be able to experience the superconsciousness. But then how it is experienced, Daji gives a clue here. So you actually start developing wisdom. You start getting inspirations. And every time we touch the superconsciousness, we are suffused with energy. So these are the 3 clues. And then again, he further goes on. He says superconsciousness is a relative term. So once our consciousness expands, initially the superconsciousness is out of our awareness. It's beyond our awareness. So, but as and when we actually go into the realm of the superconsciousness, we gradually develop awareness of that particular level of consciousness. And we also gain certain degree of control over that level of consciousness. Now, as long as it is out of awareness or beyond a particular level of awareness, we call it as superconsciousness, as Govind Brother was talking about. But the moment that aspect of the consciousness where we have now extended or expanded into comes into our awareness, and we also start becoming a bit of gaining a degree of control over it, it is no longer superconsciousness, it becomes part of our consciousness. So in other words, what might be superconsciousness for one person might be a normal level of consciousness for the other person. So Daji makes it very clear here that superconsciousness is something which is always beyond. It is what you cannot access. What you may be of a normal state of consciousness awareness for you may be a state of superconsciousness for someone else. So it's a relative term. Yes, you can also accelerate this process by moving into the superconscious state by using 2 processes. Now these 2 are questions for your exam. How do you identify the superconscious state? Like I just told the 3 things. And the other question is in terms of how do you accelerate you moving into the superconsciousness state by the practice of point A meditation and point B cleaning. So interesting question. Whenever we talk about consciousness, no. So and again, Daji also has written in the same context that consciousness is a thin film between 2 infinites. One infinite is superconsciousness, other infinite is the subconsciousness. So generally, subconsciousness is discussed in a pretty elaborate way. But superconsciousness is not something that is actually discussed in as much detail. So whenever you kind of get an opportunity to read about it or to kind of grasp it, just keep an eye for it. And again, there are 4 different levels of superconsciousness that you read in Efficacy of Raja Yoga. So that's also something that you need to keep an eye on. And that might also be a question of for the exam. Where is the lowest level of the super consciousness found? It's in point 1. And then you can have other levels of super consciousness. So that is part of the efficacy of Raja Yoga. Okay. So
Good.
in that way, we can practically experience about the super consciousness. It's almost like you having an energy drink. So there is a sudden burst of energy. Now, inspiration is a sudden burst of energy with positive intent, positive thought associated with it. And it's not something, because in meditation, you are not thinking anything. So it has to descend from somewhere, and it descends from the super consciousness. So I thought I'll just add these points from the book itself.
Good.
There are a few other hints regarding how exactly the work occurs on the chakras. And if you want to read that, I would want you to look at page number 91 in the spiritual anatomy, where Daja has explained about the 4 stages of expansion of the consciousness and what is experienced in these 4 stages. So if you read that, page number 92, 95, you will get a very detailed explanation regarding what exactly happens in each chakra in terms of the work on the consciousness, and how is it actually experienced by each one of us during the sessions itself, meditation session itself. So just look at page number 90 to 95 in spiritual anatomy. Okay, he does not specifically mention about super consciousness there, but he talks about how work occurs in the consciousness in different chakras. And that's a very common thing. Across all the chakras, 4 stages repeat. And across all the 4 stages, it's the same feeling that you might get. When I say feeling, at the 4 stages like Salupyata, Sarupyata, Samipyata, Sarupyata, and Sayujyata, these 4 stages repeat at every chakra. And what is experienced during these 4 stages is pretty similar. What changes though is the predominant feeling associated with any particular chakra. That keeps changing with every chakra. So just remember that. Okay. Sorry for the
Thank you,
interruption.
brother. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Suryanarayan Ganti, please go.
Sir, one thing I want to know, sir, you are already giving mock test papers for the complete work of Ramchandra. Whether any possibility for the heartfulness also?
Yeah, you will get it. Don't worry. You will definitely get it. I want you to attend one mock test and be thorough with heartfulness before you attend the exam. So I am looking at maybe next Wednesday.
Okay.
That's what we are planning. See, every 3 days we thought, but for heartfulness way, we'll only give you 2 days.
Okay.
So today you will have one exam. I'm just waiting for this to be over. Then I'll post the mock test. Then Friday you will have one more mock test. Then Monday you will have next mock test. And the last one on heartfulness way will be on Wednesday. That's what we are planning. Then we'll give you 2 days to kind of rest and then settle down. If you want to just look at some revise before you go for the Saturday exam. Okay.
Okay.
So you will have it next Wednesday on heartfulness way.
Okay.
So today you will have it on the 10 maxims. Friday you will have it on efficacy of Raja Yoga, and Monday you will have it on the towards infinity. So that's the sequence. Okay. So looks like more and more of you people are keen on taking more and more exams.
I think so. Tomorrow is the
Sir, experience makes man perfect.
No, that's a good thing actually, because we want you to get into the habit of looking for answers in the book and feel more confident and comfortable with it. So we thought that that particular aspect you are missing. Rest of the things you are able to do yourself. But this particular aspect, we could not give you enough practice before the last exam. So we thought from this time around, we will do this exercise for every batch which goes for the exam. Because the more the mock test you take, the more you will become good at looking for answers. So you also become very familiar with what is where.
That's
And
what I
that is
was
what is
about to tell. When we are doing the exam, we will be familiar with those sentences and with the
exactly,
matter.
exactly. And many
We
times,
can register ourselves.
exactly. And many times what happens, you can probably just write the answer even without looking at the book, because you are
Yes,
now
exactly.
so familiar with many things.
Yes, yes.
And that's what we want you to develop. And unfortunately, this is the first batch we are actually trying this experiment. So once it kind of settles down, maybe for every batch which takes the exam, we can do this. And the same thing with the revision. So luckily, Govind brother accepted that he'll take this revision for Heartfulness way. So in that way, we've been able to cover for all the languages, so that you are actually much better prepared when you go for the exam. Go there with confidence and courage, that you are able to face the exam without any anxiety or stress.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, brother. Thank you very much for
Thank you.
your input.
We'll meet tomorrow, 7:30. Okay. Thank
Tomorrow
you.
exactly 7:30 as usual.
Yes, yes.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste. all.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Namaste,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother.